Hey, what's up? This is Jewel City. Welcome back to another video. Today we have a question from one of our subscribers. He says, been seeing your vids between when you had your IS38, now your XL. I would be able to go full 85 IS38, but XL I would have to stay 93. What would you recommend then? A purely roll race, 40, 50, 60 rolls, IS38 full 85 or XL 93? And I'm DSG. All right, man. The short answer to this, guys, if you're in this situation, go with the more capable turbo. The XL will definitely give you more power out the box, even with a 93 tune versus a full 85 IS38. However, there are pros and cons to both, so let me kind of go over them with you very briefly so you can kind of get an idea. And hopefully this can help some of you guys. So Oem IS38, that's your Golf R turbo, right? It's 6-blade design. The boost threshold on that is going to be much earlier versus a hybrid IS38 that has bigger internal wheels. It is also a relatively cheaper price turbo. I've seen them go for brand new retail price about $1,000. You can find a lightly used one for about like $600 to $800, and then you can find some pretty used ones that have a little bit of a higher mileage on them. I've seen one on the marketplace last time selling for about like $300 or $350, which is kind of a steal as long as, you know, it works. But overall, it is relatively cheaper. So you save some money there. It is capable to hit 400 wheel horsepower, although on full 85 hitting 400 wheel, you know, you don't have that much more headroom. Yes, you can push it a little bit past 400. That's a lot. You know how much torque?
518, 520.
518. But, you know, it's not going to be like a hybrid turbo that can output a lot more because of the bigger wheels there. We'll get into that in just a moment. So with that being said, it also has less expensive supporting mods. Yes, you would still have to include some supporting mods if you want to do full 85 on an IS38, but they're not as pricey, right? You don't have to do the MPI multi-port injection. You can skip that. You can do a simple high pressure fuel pump and a low pressure just to run a full 85 custom tune. So you save some extra dollars there as well. So overall, it is a relatively cheaper setup. Now, with that being said, I would always recommend a Oem IS38 if it's a daily driver and you do a lot of city driving and you want just a earlier boost threshold. If you do a lot of city street driving and you just value earlier spool and you don't care much about top end power and you want more, I don't want to say more mid-range, but you just want the power to come sooner. It's the best way I can put it, and also less turbo lag. Then the Oem IS38 would be the best option. I think it's a great daily driver setup. You know, you get 400 wheel, you get to tap into that. Definitely quicker than most commuter cars out there. And, you know, it's relatively cost effective and I want to say reliable. You know, you have the OEM Volkswagen turbo. So it's a good balance between street and highway power. Now, one of the cons, this is the only con I can think about at the moment for a OEM IS38, is the limited PSI, right? So if you have an OEM spec VW turbo, you can't go beyond the factory limit because the turbo won't be able to keep up with that. And if it does, not for long. So you're going to be within that 27 to 28 PSI. If you want to get a little bit more aggressive, then you'll probably cap off the stock sensors at 29, but you're limited on PSI because the turbo can only do so much. That can be a benefit for some people, I guess, if you don't want to like push the motor that hard and increase it a couple more pounds. But for the most part, it is a con because you can't just one day wake up and say, oh, I want to turn it up now and do above 30. It's not going to work. You have to get a more capable turbo. Huh? So with that being said about capable turbos, moving on to the hybrid IS38, the Pros, it is more capable and you can hold more PSI. You can upgrade your factory sensors for 5 bars. With that, you can run a higher amount of boost. As long as you've got the supporting mods for it, it can do it. It is capable to hit 500 wheel horsepower on a IS38 hybrid, so put that into play. You go from 400 wheel to 500 wheel. Running a lot more power or running a lot more PSI, but it's capable of doing it multiple pulls back to back to back, as long as you have a solid tune setup. Also, one of the biggest pros between a hybrid IS38 and an OEM IS38 is the crazy top end versus that stock turbo. The stock IS38, yes, you can peak at a certain PSI, but the more closer you get to red line, that PSI starts to taper down. So you're not hitting that amount. While with the hybrid IS38, you can hit that PSI and maintain it all the way to red line. So you get a much wider power band, in my opinion, and it is great for highway. And that's pretty much it for the pros. I mean, you're gonna get more power. That's what it's gonna do. It's still OEM spec housing, all right, OEM size housing, but it's just a more capable turbo. So moving on to the cons, this is actually higher on the hybrid in my opinion, because the first thing, it is going to cost more for the turbo itself. The demand for these are much more versus the OEM IS38 nowadays. Also, the more supporting mods is needed to be able to get the most out of this turbo. You have to upgrade fueling, MPI kit if you want to do full 85. There's also cooling that you have to think about. If you have a smaller front mount intercooler that's rated for, I don't know, like 400. Yes, you can still use that, but if you're gonna do back-to-back pulls, it's something to think about. You know, you have to kind of switch up other parts of the setup. There's a lot more that needs to be taken into account with a hybrid turbo, is what I'm trying to say. And there's also noticeably later boost threshold. Because of that, piggybacking off of a later spool is brake boost becomes more important as well. So if you have more turbo lag, so that's something to take into account, right? If you're doing city driving and you want peppy, lower end power, maybe the OEM IS38 might be better for you. But if this is strictly just a highway car, you just roll racing, you just want all the top end, then, you know, there's that. If you're on the highway, you're doing roll racing and you're racing a, I don't know, a Mark V Supra, or a 10R80 Mustang, those cars have like crazy instant torque. So if you don't brake boost, you're gonna be at a disadvantage. Well, if you brake boost, then you are leveling out the playing field. If you don't like getting on your brakes often, if you don't have them upgraded, something to think about. You might have to upgrade that side of things, and that costs more money. Modding is not cheap, guys. Overall, it's just more things to worry about. I guess tires can be one thing if you're braking loose, depending on how much torque you're pushing. You have to worry more about fueling. You've got these 4 extra MPI injectors to worry about. The cooling aspect of it, how's your intercooler holding up? There's just a lot more things you have to keep track of versus a set and forget type of setup, which I would say is a OEM IS38. So it's something to think about. And then the third option is you have your hybrid IS20, which is a combination between the two. You don't have as much top end as the hybrid IS38, but you do get slightly or marginally lower boost threshold and spool. Again, if you just want max power, do the hybrid turbo. But if you want something, I guess with a higher pros list, the OEM IS38 would be the way to go and save a lot more money. Otherwise, if you want to hurt some feelings, definitely get the hybrid IS38. It's so much fun, guys. With that being said, let me know if you guys think I missed out anything between the pros and cons between the two. I know my only con was limited PSI on the OEM turbo, so let me know if you have any other cons you want to add to that list. Drop it in the comments down below. Thanks again for watching, guys, and hope to catch you on the next one. Peace.